Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to a very special episode of Moonbreaker. Today we've got the latest hotfix patch notes. So we're going to be having a look through them, seeing what's changed. It's going to be a little shorter of a video than normal, but hopefully this is things that people want to know, and you may have been away from the game for a while. This came out less than 24 hours ago, so some of you will already be playing with this, some of you won't have seen it yet and be looking forward to seeing the new changes. So let's have a quick look through it and see what we've got to expect. So first of all, the description of the hotfix. We've got it addressing the player 2 disadvantage, which a lot of players have been asking for, and reintroducing Stowaway, which I've been asking for, and providing a small number of bug fixes as well. So all positive changes, and we get to have a look through them all right now. First of all is the gameplay. So with the gameplay, we've added second wind. They've added second wind, a ship assist designed to offset the player 2 disadvantage. So it's been notable for a little while now that player 2, you're getting everything second. So it's not only do you get your cinder second, but you also get access to your assists slightly later and that sort of thing. Made quite a big change to the game. So here's a way of trying to balance that out. So player 2 only, you get an additional assist, which is gain 2 cinder, and it charges every 2 turns. That's absolutely huge. So this is going to change a lot of the way that the game functions, because you're going to want to build your list differently to take advantage of this when it's relevant. So for instance, if your opponent plays a Maximus, you play a Maximus. They play a Taria Arsenal, you play Taria Arsenal plus Deadeye. You've got actually quite a big change coming on. You get 2 extra cinder every 2 turns. So it's been really interesting to play with so far. I haven't figured out if it's overkill, if it's too big of a change. I haven't figured out if it's just balance. There's a lot of things to take into account, and I think lists are going to need to change to account for that. And it's a really, really interesting change, but it's good to see they're doing something to address it. Also, there's going to be some meta decisions made around other things that happen, and that's going to then impact what happens with the second wind as well. So I'm interested to see how this goes, where this develops, and it's going to be quite a sort of a turbulent meta, I imagine, for the next few days or so, maybe even longer, while people figure out what's the best way to go from here. So the next thing we've got here is re-enabling Stowaway. So Stowaway is an assist that was reworked, and it's one that I have been really wanting to use. I'm so glad that it's coming back, because it seems like a lot of fun to me, especially when combined with the second wind as well. And what it does is every 2 turns, it will take the lowest cost unit in your roster, and it will upgrade it to a random unit that costs 1 more cinder. So that means your 1 drop, if you're not using it, turns into a 2 drop. It is always your lowest cost unit, and there's also some tiebreakers if you've got multiple lower cost units. I believe it starts with them picking the one with the lowest attack, and then if they're still the same at that point, it's the one with the lowest health. So you've got multiple different ways to sort of know which unit's going to disappear, so it's not going to be random. You're not going to, lose out on something you weren't expecting to, but it just means that in the late game, if you've got more 4 and 5 cost units, and they've got more 1 and 2 cost units, in theory yours should be more powerful, and if you've got the second turn, you can actually just keep up with playing them as well, because you've got that extra cinder. So that's going to be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to trying it. I've actually played 5 or 6 games so far. I've only been second once, and I haven't had Stowaway in any of my selections to choose from at all. So it's quite funny. I've not even been able to make use of this, but I'm really excited to try it out. And next we've got multiple unit balance adjustments. So Maximus's health has gone from 6 to 4. This is something a lot of people are asking for. Again, I think this is fine. I was one of the people arguing for it to be 5 rather than 4, but I can see the arguments both ways, and I think this will be a lot more healthy for the meta. Maximus just started running away with the game really early, especially with things like corrosive, so now 2 hits takes him down from most early game models. Next, we've got Taria, attack down from 2 to 1. This is a really big change, because it means that Taria giving herself rapid fire is no longer a 4 damage burst. So as much as I love Taria, it means in an early game situation, I'm probably playing Deadeye a lot more often than I am Taria. So that's going to change how my lists function. It might even change if I bring Taria in certain lists. She's now much more of a support unit, which some people, again, in the Discord have been asking for. So that's going to be a really interesting change on that front. Blindsider Esley has gone from 2 to 3 cinder cost. So again, a fairly big change, but we've got plenty of aggressive 2 drops, and Esley is having 4 power. That's literally the biggest power anything has in the game as standard at the moment. So having that as a 3 cost is pretty reasonable. It's obviously not 4 all the time, it's conditional, but I think that's a very reasonable change. Between that, Maximus and Taria, it's going to slow down the aggro quite a bit, and I think that's quite a reasonable change on that front. Savria Safeguard has now gone from 4 to 3. So Savria was good, but never quite found a home. I think it was a bit expensive for a 4-cost unit. Doesn't really affect the board very often, similar to how Peacemaker Balan was previously. But now she's at 3, with her and Blindside Resley at 3 drops. For me, that makes both Savria and Axel Pyro a lot more playable, because what Axel Pyro struggles with is if you play him when you've got 3 Cinder, the next turn you've got 4, what you want to do is spend 1 to activate Axel Pyro, and then 3 on another unit. And you can't really do that unless there were good units to play. Now we've got Blindside Resley, we've got Savria. That gives you 2 more options there, and you can even with Savria do it the other way around. If you really need that defensive ability first, you can use that, play Axel the following turn. So that gives us a lot more list building opportunities. I'm quite keen to try a lot of these things out, especially lists that work on using your curve every turn and then finding ways to sneak in the extra advantage from the second wind if you go second. I think Astra is going to be really exciting in this meta as well. The next couple of things we've got, I think, are largely going to be related to the second wind changes, is changing both switchback and crosshair, from 5 to 6 and 4 to 5. So both of them just got a 1 Cinder cost nerf. The reason for it, I think, is so that you can't just play crosshair on turn 2 in any list whatsoever, and you can still play switchback on. You can't play switchback on turn 2 either with an Astra list, because even though she gets the 2 Cinder from the Cinder Orb, 2 for turn and 2 from second wind, your max is going to be 5 for that turn. So it stops there being a turn 2 switchback, and it stops in most cases there being a turn 2 crosshair, which I think is really reasonable. They both have got 3 attack. That's really impactful in the early game because a lot of units have only got 5 or 6 health, so 2 hits from any of them is going to kill something. So these are really big changes. It's going to slow the game down slightly, which is what a lot of people have been asking for. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into it and trying out some new lists. And it's going to be a really exciting, bit of time while people figure out how things work from here. I think aggro is still going to be very good, especially if you're going second now, because you've got that extra Cinder. You can throw even more units at someone early on. But I don't think it's going to be the only option anymore. So hopefully this will all offset that a little bit. Lastly, we've just got a few bug fixes on here. I haven't actually experienced 3 of these at all, but it's good to know they're coming. So if you've experienced any of these, you'll know they're coming through. Fix for units deployable out of bounds on landing pad or on City Plaza. So it looks like there's 2 maps where you could actually deploy a unit and they wouldn't actually be on the map terrain, which is obviously a pretty big issue. Fix for crash on redo in paint mode. I'm assuming that's a way of just making sure you don't lose your paint jobs. I haven't experienced that. And fixed issues with the season track XP match rewards when at max level 50. So there's a couple of things that this could have been. I'm not sure what it is, but for instance, sometimes you didn't necessarily get the finishing screen. If you'd already finished your season track, it just skipped straight to the next one. You didn't get your unit XP, it looked like. I don't know if that's the case or if that was just a graphical thing. It could be that it just shows you the wrong stage of your season track. Like sometimes it shows you at the beginning of the season track, even if you finished it. So not a huge change on that front. But again, any bug fix is a good bug fix. Thank you to the team for dealing with these concerns that people have been raising. It's absolutely brilliant to see. Overall, I'm really, really excited for this patch. It's fixed some of the issues that we've had. Aggro is slowing down, which I don't think stops it being useful. I think it's still a very useful list, but with less aggro and less speed means we've got more options, and the devs didn't go through all the effort of designing 40-odd units for us to only use 8 and 10 of them. So really keen to see where this leads. There's going to be so much more sort of option available, I think, in list building, and we could have a lot more of an exciting meta moving forward. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. We are so close to 100 subscribers, which is going to be my first little milestone. I've had a couple of ideas in the comments as to what to do for a YouTube video to celebrate, and once we get that, we've got to move on further and just keep going on from there. Other than that, I hope you look forward to the new patch and have a good day.